And actually, we are here to talk about e-governance, technically. But in the fintech sector, we know what's happening in Nigeria of recent. We have this whole cashless policy, right? Cashless policy, and it's been really, really a hard thing. And we are here to share our experiences, our various experiences, and also for us to ask ourselves questions and look for possible solutions. I believe that we all are change makers in this country, and I don't want us to limit ourselves to just, if you listen to ourselves, you realize that most of us are into tech. 99.9% of us are into tech. So I don't want us to limit our scope of knowledge to just tech. We believe that we can broaden it, and because the more we find solutions, to problems, the more we can build apps that can solve those problems. Yes or no? Please. Now, and also, you know how we do it now. This is more like a dialectic, so it's not me. I won't be the one talking every time. So I'd like to know your opinion, each and every one of us. If you have an idea, if you have something to say, if you have a counter narrative, please do well to come up with it. We're not here to, I don't know anything, I'm actually dumb. But I believe that with our collective efforts, we can rub minds together and, reach or share better ideas. So based on what's happening in Nigeria, based on the cashless policy, what do you guys think about it? The fact that CBN chose to change our currency at this point of, during this whole transition period, what do you guys think about it? I need you guys to contribute. Thank you very much. So what do you guys think about it? Belema?
I think first of all that I think it's actually a well-meaned or a good policy, because the fact is that with this old currency that we are using, over 85%, I think that's what they said, or 80% is unaccounted for. And that means that the people who have been storing this money inside sockaway pits and tanks and have been hoarding it since, and the CBN can't track it. So, if anything that has been done that is good by this administration, at least I would say the Naira policy is a good policy. It's just that the implementation is where we have the problem. The implementation is that, yes, they gave us some months since last year, November, but the thing is that if you give a policy, you should follow it through with ensuring that it's implemented properly. In other words, in this case, the banks should have been dispensing these new notes in their ATMs since November or latest December, mid-December last year. We wouldn't have been having this issue. But because the Nigerian mentality of hoarding and then being corrupt, because I believe that the branch managers, in fact the banks themselves, are hoarding this money for political purposes. So I would say that yes, in conclusion, the policy is a good one, but it's just that they've spoiled it. They really spoiled it. Because the quality would have actually helped tackle vote buying to a large extent. So it's good policy.
Yes, actually, I didn't succeed in withdrawing money today from the bank. So, but that notwithstanding, I think the policy is a good one. But like Belema said, the implementation, the way they are going about it is actually very, very wrong. I saw in the news where I think in the UK it took them about 2 years to swap their old currency with their new currency. I don't know why Nigeria thinks it will only take three months or less to do that in Nigeria. But the cashless policy, yes, is a good one. At least it will help in curbing so many excesses. So that's my take.
It's a very nice idea. A lot of Nigeria is even underrate it. It's very okay. Only thing I don't understand is that why the federal government is in a hurry. They're in a hurry to implement this policy. And in fact, in their hurry, some new Naira notes have not been printed so well. So I wouldn't know whether they are, as we are talking about the benefits, whether these benefits we are talking about is the same thing they are also vying for. Because I don't really understand what they are doing. And at a point, it looks like both the government and the financial institutions has lost a grip of what they started to do. Because the financial institutions, sadly, we can no longer trust them. because a bank will not be working with politicians. A bank should have these naira notes to dispense. But we find out that banks too are doing business, and banks should be a place where we give utmost trust, even if other institutions should fail. But they are failing. So both the CBN, the other financial institutions, and the federal government of Nigeria, they should just drop it since they don't know what to do about it.
I think, first of all, it's important to know that this situation has a precedent. Nigeria is not the first third world country that decided that, okay, it does not want cash to be in the system. Like, it wants to reduce the amount of cash in the system. If you check it, India had a similar situation. Demonetization policy, they called it. Quite similar to what we have now. They rushed the process and it was very difficult for people. In the end, you could say it worked out because the amount of people with bank accounts in India went from less than 50% to 85%. So, in theory, you could say that this will probably increase the amount of people that have bank accounts in the long run in Nigeria. But when you give a 3-month notice to change the currency completely, and then you print $200 billion, naira, to replace the 2 trillion naira in circulation, you don't need to have an economics degree to know that there will be a serious problem. There will be a shortage. So that's like up 80% deficit that you are having at that point. It means that banks at that point, you tell banks, okay, don't give people new naira notes, but you have not given them enough money. So there is going to be a serious shortage. So remember when Jonathan changed 100 naira notes in 2014? The transition was very natural. It went, after some time, you stopped seeing old 100 naira because the government stopped printing it and just let 100 naira, the new notes, enter circulation, and it went naturally. They could have done this, but they decided that they wanted to rush the process. First of all, you know that Nigeria is in a situation where a lot of the populace is not educated. A lot of them that live in villages don't have access to information or the internet and all that. And about 50% of the adult population of this country do not have working bank accounts. So, when you now combine all these things with the little amount of money that was printed, you should understand the problem. We have cashless payment systems in Nigeria. There's Flutterwave, there's Paystack, there are quite a lot of them. But the problem is, when we look at places like China, we look at places like the US, like Europe, that have a lot of cashless systems, the average internet speed is above 100 megabits per second. Our own is below 5 megabits per second.
Transactions, when it comes to monetary transactions using the e-banking system, doesn't require a lot of data. You get? It's not like streaming a YouTube video or watching a video on Netflix. Do you get? Even with my USSD code, I can transfer money. Do you get? So, do you think the problem is internet? I'm a software developer. So, I've written systems, and one thing I've learned over time is this. Okay, let me just explain this to you this way. I wrote a script for a school that had poor network. Do you get? What did I do? Instead of loading data out, like maybe like doing such a way that I have to refresh the page for each time the data loads. Do you get? What I did was to pass the data as a JSON response. I believe you guys are technical guys, right? Pass it as a JSON response. So now once you open the site, it loads the page. So it loads everything. It's like downloading the app. So I'm now sending data with JSON, thereby reducing the size of the memory. So even if you're using a poor network, you can still fetch data. I don't know if you guys are getting what I'm saying. So technically, I solved the problem and they were checking their result, adding result, and doing everything there. I don't know if you guys are getting what I'm saying. So, are you sure that the problem is network.
You know, when I say country has 100 megabits per second as its average internet, you understand that a good amount of places will have 80 something, 70 something, because average basically combines the lower and higher ends and all that. So, yeah, so when you wait, yes, I know. When I say the average speed is 5 Mbps per second, you will now understand that a lot of the places that are on the lower end are going to have less than 500 kilobytes per second. A lot of the places are going. Wait. No, I understand what you can use USSD without data. What?
It's the developers that built the banking app. What technology do they use? What's the quality of their server? Am I making sense? What's the quality of the server? When I log into my banking app, what I'm collecting there are just numbers. I'm not looking at anybody's picture there. You get all those things are already there. What I'm fetching is just numbers. 20 naira, 30 naira. My bank, what they call it? My bank, my transaction records. Those things are numbers. Do you get what I'm saying? Now the question now is, how many people are making requests to your server? Do you understand? People are making requests to that server. Does that server have that capacity to handle those requests? Do you understand what I'm saying? USSD can I can use USSD code and do my thing. It's written in PHP. I can write USSD code in PHP. But now, let's say 1 million persons are sending requests to my server. The thing will fry if I don't have a very good server. It's not about the network. That's the point I'm trying to make. Do you understand? It is not about the quality of network, but the technical infrastructure that is being built, that is owned by all these financial institutions. Do you understand what I'm saying? What if they are using shared hosting? You get what I'm saying? And you are trying to accept all these requests. Now, I'm just giving you an instance. Okay, let me explain Flutterwaves for you. Okay? Let me explain Flutterwaves. Flutterwaves is a payment gateway. Do you know what they do? They accept payment. Do you understand what I'm saying? They do what? Accept payment. So what they do basically is this. If I have a website and I want to accept payment, I'll use their API, and once you click on pay, you put your card details or you do bank transfer, depending on your preferred mode of payment, and they will accept the payment. Do you understand? Banks are the ones that handle interbank transaction, and I understand fintech system. See, let me tell you how it works. You know we have GT, right? We have Zenith, for instance. Are you getting what I'm saying? Now we have the middleman called the switching company. Switching companies are like companies that handle that. Now let me explain this thing here. When you send your money from Zenith to GT, what happens is this: the money goes to once you make that request, it goes to the switching company. Sometimes it doesn't arrive immediately. The switching company will be the ones to deposit the money in your in your GT Bank account. Do you understand? Then later they can now collect it from Zenith. So that's why you see, sometimes when you go to do your POS transaction, you see issuer or switch inoperative. The switching company is like the middleman. Now that's why we have this company called InterSwitch. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, I've been able to develop software for a long while, and I understand this whole infrastructure. Paystack and Flutterwave, what they use to collect payments. Do you understand? Though they also have options to transfer. Maybe once you accept payments, you can transfer, but you cannot use they have a better infrastructure than banks. OPay has better infrastructure than banks. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, what I'm talking about now are those new generation banks. New generation banks are the ones that came out around early 90s, like Zenith, the UBA, and the rest of them. Do you understand? Excuse me. They have the technical infrastructure to process these payments. Because if you're to tell me that, if you're trying to look at network, trust me, we have we have the internet or the internet infrastructure to handle payments in Nigeria. What are we collecting? We're not opening Facebook. where you have to load videos and what? Pictures. All you just want to do is to send data, bits of data that are not even more than 30 kilobytes. Get my point? When you're trying to transfer money from one bank to another, you're not sending more than 30 kilobytes. Hope you guys are aware. You're not uploading a file on YouTube. It's not like, you're not uploading something similar to that. So what you're trying to do now is that you're trying to move something from one bank to another using maybe the highest 30 kilobytes of data. Now the question now is this. The people that own the infrastructure, how big or what's the capacity of their server to process this payment when we have multiple requests? Let me explain it this way. It's like me now going to a hotel and I want to buy food. You get? I have my mouth. My mouth is like the network. I can talk to a server, right? I need food. That is like our MTN and Glo and all that. Now, how many servers do they have? The waiter and the waitress there. Maybe they have two. They have two there. That two cannot handle all the requests. So we now have this whole issue with what? But if it's for the internet, trust me, our internet in Nigeria can handle it. Even your USSD can handle the problem. But now the question now is the requests that is going into the server. Can the server handle it? Now, when you see them say Access Bank is messing up, Zenith Bank is messing up, do you understand what I'm saying? Most of the times, I actually had this mentor who worked in the banking industry. He retired, I think 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and he told me something that some of this stuff you see that maybe they bring in an Indian company that will set up a server. Some of these servers are in Nigeria. You get set up a server and the server doesn't have the proper infrastructure, and all that. They don't have the capacity to handle this whole transaction. And at the end of the day, you see that you are struggling with, transferring money. But looking at these new generation guys, Paystack and all that, they went and they started using more of these cloud hosting systems like AWS and the rest of them. And that's why theirs is way, way more faster. So, internet is not the problem. That's just the point I'm trying to make. The truth of the matter is this. The banks were caught unawares. I don't know if I'm making any sense. The banks were caught unawares. What I mean by that is this. The idea behind this whole system is to enable internet banking. That's number one. Number two is this. To see a way to increase the value of Naira. If you understand economics, you know what they call it, demand and supply stuff, right? Now, what they were trying to do was to see if we can push the value of Naira up to a reasonable extent. Do you know what was happening? Naira was just going down as if tomorrow no day. Like you can just imagine, Naira to a dollar is like 800 if I'm not mistaken. 800 Naira for $1. So these guys started looking for ways. That was actually why they stopped crypto. That was the first thing they did, to stop crypto. It hurt us. It was terrible. I hated it. But after doing my research and thinking deeply, I was like, wow, these guys know exactly what they are doing. Imagine if we had crypto. Naira would have been 1,500 for $1. I'm telling you the gospel truth. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I know how Nigerians behave. All of us will move our money to crypto. Do you get? Move our money to crypto. And because of that, people will be looking for dollar everywhere. Abi? So because they are looking for dollar to convert their crypto, Naira will just go down. So now, here's their strategy. Now, you talked about the supply. I don't know, someone talked about that the supply of Naira was actually low. What they did was to make sure that, okay, Naira supply is low. Let's move these people to the cashless format. Who are we to blame? How?
Remember that they printed 200 billion with 2 trillion naira in circulation. Just think about it. Even if people hoard money, imagine 200 billion naira being used to go as the money in circulation for 200 million people in Nigeria that we have. There is no way on this earth that is going to work. It doesn't take an economist to know that. That's one of the problems.
let me tell you guys, this is my boss. This is story he told me. He said when this computer thing started, when computer started, before then, civil secretariats in all the state and national parastatals were using typewriter. Do you get? So one day, FG and state government decided to move to computers. Do you know what happened? They kicked against it. Everyone, normally humans are scared of change. As a natural thing, you have to understand. And you cannot effect change without glitches. You cannot deploy your app and it will work perfectly well. I'm talking from experience. Bug will erupt. That first week, a lot of things will happen. You start doubting yourself and asking yourself, are you sure you shouldn't go and start carrying blocks? Do you understand? That's the truth of the matter. So this is a normal thing. That is what I'm trying to make you understand or make us understand. This is a normal thing. We can't just snap our fingers and everything will just move from A to B. It doesn't work that way. Do you understand? People are going to fight it. We're going to have this chaos. But as time goes on, everything will definitely normalize. But my question now is this. Who are we to blame? All right.
I believe that the federal government isn't to blame. They should carry part of the blame, but they don't have the majority of the blame. The majority of the blame lies within our banks and our corrupted system. You said there is how many trillion naira in circulation? 2 trillion. I bet you there is more than that. And out of that 2 trillion, let's say, okay, we take it 2 trillion there is really 2 trillion in circulation. Out of that, do you know the amount of money that politicians have hoarded? Just imagine. So there is no way, even if you say that, okay, there is just a few billions in circulation, the federal government has just put out a few billions of the new naira notes. That is a good thing because it curtails these people from, and besides, even if they bring out this new money, you see so many of the old cargoes and old politicians that have stored billions in one sockaway or one tank coming to change their money. I mean, just imagine it. They are saying that there is not enough money in circulation. Do you know what is happening in Lagos with some rich people's kids? They are spraying money in wedding parties. They are spraying money up and down. The new naira note. Why people are queuing up there like in ATM? I experienced it. I waited for over 5 hours. I couldn't get this. Sorry. My point is this. That, yes, federal government didn't implement this thing properly. In fact, as a matter of fact, they didn't enforce it properly. But the thing is that our corrupted system, which is causes like all the problems we have in this country, is the one to blame. Not exactly the federal government. The branch.
Yes. Printing less currency to be in circulation, it's actually on purpose. Yes, because they actually want us to move towards the internet banking and the cashless society. So, if you are moving towards cashless society, why will you now print enormous amount of currency to be in circulation? Which means it's defeating the purpose of the cashless society. But I think the issue there is that the users, the people itself, are they educated enough to go into this cashless society? What's the literacy rate?
I told you that at this point, 50% of adults in Nigeria have bank accounts. The remaining 50% don't have.
Okay, let me. What is the literacy rate of people in China? Those old women that have this what they call it again, this QR code in their markets. Do you understand? What's their literacy rate? Do you understand? When telecommunication came, let me also chip in this idea. When we came up with telecommunication, most of us were not literate enough to use the phone. But now everybody has a phone, right? Everybody makes calls. Initially it was post office. When you write the letter, you send it there, right? Now, people are using phones to do business. We have mothers that even normal people, they tell you they'll go and recharge and still make their calls. So my question is this: should we, because of this whole thing, inhibit progress, or inhibit change. Do you understand what I'm saying? Should we? You know, some people are even scared. Some people were scared before. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go to Maya before, when you go to buy stuff and tell the person, okay, let me transfer money to you, they will say no. It was an annoying thing, and it was so annoying. I hated Maya for that. When I see a keke man with this thing, no old cash transfer. Once I get a lot, change we can effect this change. We don't have to. Everything must not be right before you can effect a change. If not, you will wait till God knows when.
If they use gradual decentralization to send information, you don't think this one is too sudden? Like it's too drastic. Okay, that's why I feel like this cashless policy is a negative effect of the original plan. It's currency for a reason. It flows. Right now, there's no flow of cash. There is about zero. I used 1,000 naira to move 4,000 naira. Okay, so it's not. Yeah, so it's not just discouraging me. It's an adverse effect of something. I think the people that are in charge of transfer, both left and right, CBN to consumers are actually the problem. I don't know. I don't want to make assumptions.
The question has been who are we to blame, right?
Yes. Okay. If because looking at the topic we had, if it's intentional, then it should be a little bit gradual. Okay, then I will understand the whole. Maybe it's too spontaneous. We don't have the whole infrastructure for it, but it was not the intent. Okay, so it looks more like
the intent.
The intent was to change the Naira note and probably discourage those that have, the whole Sokawe guys now and GP Town guys, to make it of. By the time somebody is remitting that kind of money to the bank, questions will be asked. You'll have seen who was involved in one fraud or the other. So you understand? Alright, so now that those people are not bringing the money, the banks are in between. They are not letting money in or money out. I think that's where we have the issue. So I'll probably blame Nigerian banking system. I think that's where we have no problems.
I want to say something. I understand that the cashless policy, it's a progressive plan. If you look at it progressively, it's what we are supposed to adopt now in our society. But I think the manner that we brought it into the society is not really optimal, because if you look at our population now, we have like 35% of people that have an active banking account. 35% of people, just listen carefully. 35%. Now, I made a lot of research on this topic. So you can imagine when the populace, 35% of the population has only bank accounts, and then most people living on wages now. Most people live on wages now, and if to say they put their money in the bank accounts, probably some of them just earn up to 30,000 a month. And if you put 30,000 a month, you're going to lose some money from bank charges and stuff. So they are going to have no choice but to have the cash in hand. So now I actually understand his points when he says that the 2 trillion in supply, and like trying to take out the 2 trillion and introduce 200 billion naira instead. I think that the federal government should have taken a more calm or gradual approach. Now, if you take a look at this country, Sweden now, like 98% of their transactions are cashless now. 98% of their transactions are cashless, and the government is planning to adopt a new crypto like currency for their currency. That's krona, the e-krona. They're trying to adopt this new currency now. You can imagine in the country, the literacy rate is very high, and there, 6-year-olds, people who are 6 years and above, can have ATM cards, that's debit cards, with their parental approvals now. People like that. Now you can imagine now in the country where a lot of people now are very illiterate in the internet banking system. People are very not well informed in it. You can imagine like how it's not really going to work. Like it's like let me put it in. It's like sacrificing millions to save billions. I don't know if you get my point. Do you understand?
I asked the question about today. Grants.
First, on the part of the Central Bank of Nigeria, because they are in so much hurry, and we don't know whether the same intention for the cashless policy that we share is what they share too, or they want to hunt a particular set of people. Then the other blame should be to the financial institution, because I think that the financial institutions at the moment have lost their integrity. Somebody said, I disagree that money is not going in and out of banks. The money that had been stored in the septic tanks have been changed, and they are back to the septic tanks. And you find out that most of the banks have this money, and they don't want to dispense it. So a lot of them are holding this money, and they keep it for the highest bidder. And the same people that who are politicians. Then looking at Nigerian literacy rate, we cannot blame Nigerian literacy rate, except we are talking about literacy in the banking system, because we can't just be saying that Nigerians are not literate. I know a lot of Nigerians have account numbers or working account numbers. So that statistics, I do not really agree with that 35% statistics, because it is more than that. What we will say is that
one big thing that have so many
figure of bank accounts, not the figure of people that accounts.
One person can have multiple accounts. Exactly. One person can have multiple accounts.
Please, the question I asked was this: who are we to blame? Do you guys? I asked this question: who are we to blame? Now, KK, this question goes to you.
Yeah.
What is wrong with our bank's infrastructure? Because the internet infrastructure, that's actually the biggest problem right now. Do you understand? So who are we to blame?
So to ask me, everybody's to be blamed. You, the banks, CBN. Everybody's to be blamed. Now, CBN gave an injunction of what needs to be done. The banks did not carry that injunction because people like you and I we're breaking the injunction. So at this point now, who is to blame? Now,
Okay, it's okay. Now, there's something we call phronesis, practical wisdom, Abby. So sometimes we do this thing where we keep complaining and we don't have any solution. I'm not that kind of a person. When I complain about something, I'm actually looking for the solution instantly. So what's the solution to these problems?
No, I'm not saying Inara.
No. What solution? No.
Inara is not the solution. But then again, it's one part of the solution.
I will do the ad. I will pay for PIT.
Now, see, what do you say? If there's a solution, this problem will not exist. Wow.
No, I said if Inara was the solution.
And I told
Okay,
you.
I thought you said that if there was a solution. Okay. So, please, guys, what's the solution? Because we're here to solve problems, Abi. Most of us are software developers, so we sit down to think of solutions. So, what do you think is the solution to this problem, Belema?
I think we need to start, or people will start developing platforms that will enable transactions.
Sorry, let me tell you guys the truth. Nigeria has enough fintech companies that can handle this. That's number one. Do you get it? Nigerians have enough fintech companies. The challenge we're having here is that there's a difference between banks and fintech companies. Do you understand? Now, most of the banks here don't have that good technical infrastructure. Their servers are not. It hurts me a lot to notice that even Zenith can't even afford something big, like a big infrastructure. Now, let me put it this way. If we have better technical infrastructure, transactions will happen faster. And once all these things start happening, nobody will even think of using the normal this thing, what they call it, like normal cash or going to POS this thing. The challenge is that when you transfer money, you have this issue with delay and all that, and that causes issues, or your banking app doesn't load that fast. Do you understand? So I feel that we should start with the banks first. Their infrastructure needs to be fixed. They have the financial capacity to fix this problem. Do you understand? They have the financial capacity to fix this problem. Now, you guys are familiar with Momo, MTN Momo. Now, let me put it this way. We have been using MTN for a long time, right? Since 2000 or 1999, if I'm not mistaken. You get, and we make calls on a regular basis. We barely hear about downtime. Are you aware that Momo has this USSD option where you can do all transactions and all that? It's enough to solve the problem. Do you understand? It's enough. There was a time they started this MTN yellow account that bank frustrated. But now all these things are back to, they are now back. Now, the truth of the matter is that we need to start learning how to migrate from this traditional this into the rave of the moment, which is what? Internet banking. But trust me, we have, and I will still say it over and over again, our network currently now can handle any transaction. The problem is the infrastructure of the banks. And these guys have money.
Minus the infrastructure of the bank is the adoption of the people. Nigerians are very stubborn. That's the biggest one.
As I'm saying here,
Nigerians are very stubborn. Nigerians are very stubborn. I told my friend, if you want to have seamless transaction, if you can't get Kuda, get branch. If you can't get branch, get OPay.
Well, let me tell you, I must confess, Nigeria has one of the best banking systems in the world.
Yes, that goes smooth in Nigeria is money.
Yes.
Let me tell you something.
Yes, that goes smooth in Nigeria.
Do you know that? Do you know how long does it take you to transfer from GT to Access? How long? I mean, like transfer. Okay, compared to from Barclays. From Barclays to Standard Chartered Bank in UK. You think it happens that fast?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
You might get it will take you like 2 working days or 3 working days.
3 working days.
Wire transfer. They call it wire transfer. But if you want to do a wire transfer in America, usually it's more than $1,000. First of all, you will have to go to the bank. They will give you a code. And wire transfers take at least 48 hours to come into the business.
That's why you see things like
Venmo
and then Cash App go very fast over there.
Yes, that's why they use Cash App and
tiny influence over there.
Because before you do wire transfer, you have to know the type of level you are.
Let me Venmo you, let me Cash App you. It's very fast.
So the solution, see my own, I feel like we should talk about solution. Download eNaira, have your USSD, have your mobile banking, and let's not forget, have your.
Hold on. You want to say something? Whoa, hold on, guys. I went to the market and I bought food stuff. And this woman told me use Union Bank, not Nagosi. So that was what they told me.
Now.
So because a little fraction of them are not accepting it, you should just cancel everything.